Hi, good evening, my dear students. This is Hassan Basani. How are you guys doing today? Uh, my apologies for delay of 10 minutes. We were facing some technical issues. My screen, we were not able to share my screen. So I hope now that you guys are able to see my screen and you are able to hear me clearly. Can you please confirm yes in the chat box or comment box? Excellent, excellent. So today is day 2 and we've got an agenda for day 2. But before we start with day 2, I would like to quickly finish the remaining portion of day 1, which was the most important topic: suitability, feasibility, acceptability. Okay, so let me right away go to the topic of suitability, acceptability framework. Can you see the screen of SFA? Okay, right. So just as a recap, SFA framework is used whenever we are thinking of acquiring a new company, either in the same country or in outside our country. Okay, suitability factors look at external factors, and you have to draft 3 paragraphs under suitability. The first paragraph will talk about the challenges of home country. The second paragraph will talk about the pros and cons of the target country. And the third paragraph will talk about the information about target company. After that, we will move to feasibility. And the first paragraph will talk about human resource, then financial resource, then IT, and then brand. And uh, acceptability will talk about uh, you know is the proposed strategy acceptable to the shareholders, and we will focus more on financials. Okay, I think the screen is stuck. If you just give me 1 minute, I need to get comfortable with the screen. Give me a second. Right, guys, I think we have fixed the problem of screen sharing. Let me just check whether the screen is changing. Now we are at financial projections. Perfect. All right. So let's go back. Acceptability, we talk about shareholders' acceptance, and we will look at the financial projections of the proposed acquisition, right? When we look at financial projections, I gave you a checklist of 4 items. First of all, we will see whether the projections are based on discounted cash flow. After that, we will go through whatever assumptions are mentioned in the exhibit and try to look for any apparent mistakes. Then we will quickly calculate the payback period. And lastly, we will just mention one line that a sensitivity analysis needs to be done. Okay, right. So with this, let's quickly hit the question. Let me look for the question. Yeah. So just to recap, we were doing December 2018 highlight, and there was the introduction in which I had done some referencing, remember? So the economy was doing good. I'm just going through my notes on the left hand side. See how useful this referencing is. The economy is doing good, the industry is doing good, our pricing strategy is very good, location is our advantage, we are market leaders. However, there is fierce competition, and we have invested heavily in technology, and we value our staff. uh, our role is senior business analyst. And then there was this list of 6 exhibits, and then we did question number 1A yesterday, and now let's look at 1B. Okay. The board of highlight has identified an existing chain of hotels called Comfy Stay, located in Villandia, which it is considering acquiring. The chief business analyst has passed you a fact sheet which he prepared, containing data relating to the proposed acquisition required. Using the fact sheet referred to above and any other relevant information, prepare a report for the finance director which evaluates the proposal to acquire the Comfy Stay hotel chain. 16 marks. Professional skills marks are available for demonstrating evaluation skills in presenting a balanced and objective appraisal of the relevant information relating to the proposed acquisition of the Comfy Stay hotel chain. 4 marks. Total this part B is 16 plus 4, 20 marks. Right. So, uh, since part 1B talks about proposal to acquire, we straight away know that this topic we have to use SAF model or SFA model. And for evaluation skills, what do we need to keep in mind? Do you remember? If we want to score good on evaluation skill, what do we need to do? Excellent, Altaf. Pros and cons, right? So we make sure that in our analysis, in our draft, we cover both plus points and minus points. Okay, so that we present a balanced view of the proposed strategy. Good. So now we need to look for information about home country. More importantly, the issues, the challenges, why we are actually thinking of you know expanding internationally. Then we need to look for information about target country, which is Villandia in this case. And then we need to look for target company information, which is Comfy Stay Hotel. Okay, so let's move on to the exhibits. So we read exhibit 1 yesterday, and again I will just quickly go through the referencing done on the left hand side in red. So in summary, we've got good brand, we've got good staffing, we've got good location, and some financials were given about our number of employees, total sales, profit growth, strong cash flows. And then we invested heavily in digital and technology. And then something about competitors dynamics are changing, cost structures under pressure, some KPIs, and focus for the future. So there are 4 strategic, you see this, 4 key strategic themes for our future: digital, international growth, focus on staffing, and focus on environment. Okay, right. So now let's move to Exhibit 2, which is D-Land Hotel Industry Report. Again, it talks more about the industry of our home country, which is D-Land. And if you look at the referencing, then it talks about industry is booming, government is supporting, economy is doing good, government points, staff talk something about staff turnovers. Fine. Did you see any information on Villandia or Comfy Hotel as yet? Can you guys hear me? Just checking. Did you guys see any information about Villandia, which is our target country, and about Comfy Stay Hotel, which is our target company? No? Correct. Absolutely correct. So far, the introduction, Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, they all talked about our home country, which is D-Land, and about us, which is Highlight. Let's move to Exhibit 3. Exhibit 3 is a fact sheet relating to Highlight's proposed acquisition target prepared by Chief Business Analyst. So from the name of the exhibit, I am guessing that this might be an important exhibit for this particular requirement. So it tells me about Comfy Stay Hotel, key business industry data. Comfy Stay is a family run business which has lacked investment in last 10 years. Interesting. All 20 hotels in the chain have been in operation for over 18 years and are located in main coastal resorts of Villandia. These are in premium locations but with outdated facilities. So, they've got 20 hotels and they are operating for last 18 years. If I can recall how many hotels we got, I think 510 hotels, and we have been in business for 40 years. That's my as per my memory. What else? It's a mid-range hotel, some with additional leisure facilities as gyms and pools, not classed as budget hotels. So it's a mid-range hotel, not classed as budget hotels. Whereas our business model is strongly based on budget hotels. Remember, our key success factor was our pricing strategy. We are a budget hotel, but these guys are mid-range hotels. Now, Villandia is 5,000 miles from D-Land. 5,000 miles, that's pretty far. It has a developing economy, but low wage rates, and there is some evidence of poor employment practices in the country. Some evidence of use of underage labor, minors in the hotel industry has been found. Very interesting. Villandia, it is a developing economy, low wages, some evidence of poor employment practices, and some evidence of use of underage laborers. And Villandia has a thriving tourism industry. Very, very important. So some information pertain to Comfy Stay Hotel and some information pertain to Villandia. So this one was target company and this is target country. Okay. Some key investment data based on a 6-year investment plan. Now this is a financial projection. Note all figures used have been converted into D-Land's home currency dollars. Looks good to me. So if you look at the columns, there is year 0, year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then there are in year zero, there is initial investments. I believe that initial investment must be the acquisition cost and some refurbishment costs. So there are total cost of 90. And then year one, there are revenues, year two, year three, year four, year five, year six. And then there is some, I don't know, there's some misprint here. Let me see. Environmental investment. Okay, so this word here, this one is basically, let me write it so that you guys don't get confused. This one is basically environmental investment. Okay, so we will be spending money on environment, $1 million each year, and then we will be spending money on training costs, and then there will be operating costs, and then there is a total cost row, and then there is a cash flow. So this is a cash flow, right? So it's minus 90 in year zero, and then in year one it is 17,499, and then so forth. And we use the discount factor, so it means it's a discounted cash flow. Okay, you see all these things, these are it's a cash flow and it's a discounted cash flow, and then they calculated a present value, and finally the net present value is $10.5 million. Additional information: it is expected that some of D-Land's hotel managers would need to relocate to Valendia for approximately 3 to 12 months on a temporary basis to assist in training and staff development in the first year of operations, and will be required to carry out ongoing mentoring activities for next 2 years. So we would need to depute our current hotel managers to Valendia. So can I say HR? It's a human resource aspect. Secondly, finance for this investment would be available through a combination of equity and debt financing. Very important piece. How are we gonna finance? Through equity and debt finance. So can I say financial resource? What else? That's it. So I noticed something in revenues. Please look at the revenue. Please think that you are a CFO and your subordinate has submitted to you this worksheet. Immediately I noticed something is wrong in the revenue. Look at year one, look at year two. Are you able to spot it? Yes, Smita, excellent. And then look at year 3, 4, 5, and 6. No, Mohammed Sachal, it's not step increase. It's constant for first 2 years and then again constant for next 4 years. A step increase is, which I think a step increase means revenue which is increasing gradually. I don't think this is stepping. So as a CFO, I I think that the revenues doesn't seem good to me or doesn't seem realistic. How can be the revenues of first 2 years be exactly the same, and then how can the revenues of year 3 to 6 exactly the same? So this is something I would like to highlight. That's it. So now we are equipped. So we got information about target company. We got information about target comes with. This is a target company and this is target country, and we got financial projections. Okay, so now let's start drafting. This is, let me select a nice marker here. Just give me a second. Okay. Okay. Now let's look at the question again. Is there any format required? Are we supposed to give any format? Do you remember examiner's comment yesterday that students do not focus on format? So let's look at the question again. Using the fact sheet, prepare a report for the finance director, which evaluates the proposal to acquire Comfy Stay Hotel. So we need a report format. As usual, we will give a big heading in the center. Okay. Then there will be a to, from, subject, and date. So to is finance director. From, what is our role? I think we were senior business analyst. Remember, it was mentioned in the introduction. Subject. Now, subject has to be very short and should come out from the question. How about proposal to acquire Comfy Hotel, Comfy Stay? Um, okay. And date would be DD, month, year. Again, I draw a line to bifurcate the headers. Okay, are you okay with this starting? I think it's pretty simple. And then we will give a heading, introduction. So in yesterday we did a briefing note or a briefing paper. There was no heading of introduction there. There was just 2 lines of opening paragraph. In report, we give a heading, introduction, and then we just give an opening paragraph. And where do we pick the opening sentence from? Again, um, I can draft the opening sentence from the requirement. This reports evaluates Can you pick from the requirement these lines? Do not try and waste your time in drafting a, a flowery, beautiful opening sentence. We have to save time. Just be very short. This report evaluates the, let me see, proposal or proposed acquisition, proposal to acquire Comfy Stay Hotel chain. Okay, evaluates the proposal to acquire Comfy Stay Hotel chain based in Villandia. That's it. Okay, so, so we are done with the opening sentence. Now, so we are now done with the format aspect. Carefully look at the format. I have reduced the size. There will be a central heading, then to, from, subject, date, and then an introduction. So this is a proper report format. Now the next heading would be, now we will directly hit our answer. We will say suitability. Now, how many paragraphs should I give under suitability? Very good, Umesh, Huda, Laiba, Chris. Perfect. So we need to give 3 paragraphs under suitability. First paragraph will talk about our home country. What are the challenges? Why we are thinking of moving internationally, expanding internationally, all that in first paragraph. The second paragraph, target country, which is Villandia. Please do not use the word target country in your drafting. We will use the word Villandia all across. And then we will, third paragraph will talk something about target company, which is Comfy Stay. So, what are the challenges we are facing in home country? I mean, we know all the good things, brand and staffing and location and pricing, but I read somewhere that there is a fierce competition. Remember, economy is good, industry, pricing, location, here. You see how my referencing helped me? See this one? I was immediately able to spot where I read something about competition. So read this line. Highlight faces fierce competition from several home-based and international hotel chains. And then I like this word, fierce competition. I can use this in my sentence. And then anything else? Brand, staff, location, financials, digital. Again, I see competition, something here. Let's read it. Competitors' dynamics are changing through both traditional and disruptive channels. Okay, I like that. And then look at this one. Look at this. Why did I circle this? International growth. You know, the CEO himself is saying that the 4 key strategic themes for the future is A, B, C, D, and one of the 4 themes is international growth. Okay, so I think we've got enough points about home country. We will say the or maybe uh, just a second, guys. I need to rub this. Okay. I'm just trying to recall the competitor dynamics are changing. And then I'll just quickly talk about which is also focus. There are exciting opportunities outside D-land as international growth is an area of development for highlight. Further, there are good opportunities of growth outside D-land. That's it. So one paragraph on home country or the challenges we are facing now or the reason why we are thinking of going abroad. Okay, so let me quickly go through the questions. Dynamic competition environment, perfectly right, Umesh. Cost pressure, yes. Files not in PDF. Edel, yes, the files are in PDF. It's all shared in the handout section. Sir, what in the question hinted us to use SFA framework? Muniba, I think you were not present yesterday. SFA framework is used whenever we plan to acquire another company. Acquire another company. Okay. Sir, page is getting stuck. No, I think it's working fine now. Sir, should we use highlight is facing fierce competition, or we are facing Umesh, I think we can use a combination of both highlight and V, but I think I would we can also use the word V because I am also an employee of this company. I'm an internal person, right? Abdullah, yes, it's necessary to use SFA for acquisition. Yes, it is. Will these files be shared? Yes. Highlight wants to diversify. No, they are not. They are diversifying geographically. Okay, I'm not connect. I think you should not use the word diversification in this case. They are just expanding geographically. Okay, diversification might have a little bit different meaning. Communication skills and commercial. Aisha, please stick to the question right now. Please do not ask questions which is currently not relevant to the question we are doing right now. We will cover commercial acumen and commercial skills, communication skills in next question. From a budget to luxury one, can we write like this is our company is facing? Yes, Taslima, yes, you can, because you are an insider employee. You can also say our company or we, perfectly fine. All right. So suitability, the first para is done. Now we need to draft the second para, which should talk about the target country, which is Villandia. So where is the information on target country? I think it was on the fact sheet somewhere. Target country. So Villandia is 5,000 miles from D-land. It's a developing economy, low wages, poor employment practices, use of underage labor, but it's got a thriving tourism industry. So just you need to mention these sentences under second paragraph. I would start with positive thing that Villandia has a thriving tourism economy. But if I start drafting, we will spend a lot of time here. So, but I just want to demonstrate to you the technique. So we will input information from these paragraphs. Okay, we will start with positive things first. That Villandia has a booming tourism industry, and it has got the economy is developing. The wages, there are low wage rates. However, there are some evidence of poor employment practices as well as use of underage labor. That's it. As simple as this, my friends. Okay. And then we need to draft the third paragraph, which will talk about the comfy stay hotel. Again, the first three bullets just use consolidate this information into a paragraph form. We will say Comfy Stay Hotel is a family run business. They have got 20 hotels and they have been in business for last 18 years. They are mid-range. Now that's very important. They are mid-range hotels, unlike us, because we are budget hotels, and the comfy host stay has lacked investment in the last 10 years. So I just rearranged the information. Positive things first, negative things second. Okay. So I just repeat the paragraph. We will say Comfy Stay Hotel is a family run business. They have got 20 hotels and in the business for last 18 years. They are mid-range hotels. Unlike us, we are budget hotels. However, they lack investment in the last 10 years. That's it. Believe me, it is as simple as this. As I said yesterday, try to pick up sentences from the exhibits themselves. 70% of your drafting should come out from the exhibit. 30% you can add or less on your own, but the bulk of the sentences should be from the exhibit. This is especially for those students who have got weak English. Then instead of trying to draft something in your own language, I would suggest that you pick up wording from the exhibits, copy paste the wording, just change the sequence a little bit, just change the grammar a little bit, and make your life easy. Okay, so now we have completed suitability. 3 paragraphs we have covered. Let me go through the questions. uh, Hassan is asking, is it acceptable for examiner to take lines from question to use in your answer? Yes. You just listen, you from the exhibits you have to pick information, right? So if you are picking information, that doesn't mean you are copying. Just the grammar a little bit you can change, but the information will never change. So bulk of the exhibit contains information like mid-range hotel, not a budget hotel, 20 hotels, 18 years, family run business, lack of investment. All these are sentences, but they're also facts. So you can copy 70-80% from the exhibits, no issues in that. Family run business means it's probably lacks good corporate governance, which is a con. You are right, Ahmed, but you don't need to write all this crap. You don't have the time in the exam, okay? Stick to the basic. Should we only talk about the positives in the target company? No, no, no. Ali, there is a professional skills marks for evaluation skill, and evaluation skill means you have to talk about both pros and cons. Okay. Should we talk about, sir, can you use Word file? No, Altaf, I'm using a PDF. It can't be done now. Uh, what does it mean by budget hotel? Budget hotel means that cheap hotels. They compete based on low price. Sir, as mentioned, that in Villandia, evidence are found of under labor, and we used to promote our brand in Villandia by showing that we support this initiative and we will not be part of this. Correct, your point is very good, Umes. Um, but you don't talk about these things in under exam conditions. And there is another question number 2A, which exact these aspects are we need to cover in that. So it will be a repetition. Sir, culture can be used in suitability? No, culture we will talk about under acceptability. Sir, no need to mention implication in each point. This is Nawaz. Nawaz, if we the short answer is no. If we try and mention implication for each and every point, your answer will get very lengthy and you will miss the time management. Correct? So unless you are very fast reader and you are very fast in your writing, you can complete the paper 30 minutes before the time, then yes, then you can add implication on each point. But if you are an average student like me, so do not give implication. Listen, guys, we are not trying to, or my approach is not to make sure that each one of you scores 80 marks. My objective here in this 5 days is to make sure everybody of you passes and scores like 55 or to 65 marks. So giving implications is very ideal, but not everybody can do that, right? uh, Under suitability, only 3 paragraph would be sufficient at total 6 marks. 16, Aisha, please don't ask dumb questions. 16 marks is not for suitability. The 16 marks is for the entire thing, right? Feasibility and acceptability. So just wait and just be patient. How can I ask questions directly? Just type in the question box. Do we have to conclude, Yasin? No, no. I yesterday, talked a lot about this. No need for conclusions. Uh, Sir, we are required to interpret the information according to the requirements. What do you suggest if we take like 3 lines of data? How much lines or points we are supposed to make on it according to? I will explain that after this question. Sir, what the labor behavior is opposite to? Um, I'm just quickly going through the questions. Ikra is asking, sir, should we talk about our company's competencies or resources under suitability? No, it's a big conceptual mistake. You do not talk about company's own competencies under suitability. Internal suitability, suitability focuses on external factors only. Company's competencies are covered under feasibility. Okay. Hamza, just if just write the implication, whatever you think is right. I cannot explain to one person right now. Most people are asking the same question. Asan, I already replied that it is acceptable by the examiner if you repeat lines up to a certain degree. Okay. All right. So we are good with the questions. Let's move on. So now we will talk about feasibility. So our next heading is under feasibility. You need to talk about human resource, financial resource, IT, brand. Human resource. I saw something. So in human resource, if you recall, what do we look at? We look at these 3 things. We look at whether we have business experience, whether we have acquisition experience in the past, and whether we have overseas business experience. Okay. So does highlight has business experience? Does highlight has business experience? Absolutely yes. We are the market leaders in our country. Okay. So definitely there is no doubt that we have got the expertise and the competencies to manage a hotel business. Right. Do we have acquisition experience in the past? No, very good. I read somewhere that probably in the introduction somewhere that so far Highlight has grown organically from 2 hotels to 510 hotels. Yes, Huda, absolutely internally. So we don't have any acquisition. This will be our first acquisition experience. Thirdly, do we have overseas business experience? No, very good. You guys are really on top of the case. I'm really impressed. So just write 3 paragraphs, just write a paragraph on human resource. Do not give a heading, but just write that although we do have the managed business and management expertise, However, we do not have any experience of acquisition in the past, and similarly, we do not have any experience of uh, doing business outside the land. Okay, that's it. Then what do we look at? Then we look at financial resource. Under financial resource, we, we need to say whether we have the funds to finance the deal. So I think I read somewhere on the fact sheet, I read somewhere, you see this financial resources. Finance for this investment would be available through a combination of equity and debt financing. Just mention this information as paragraph number 2, that we do have the finance to we do have the funds to finance this acquisition through a combination of equity and debt financing. Okay, and lastly, what do we have to say? We need to talk about IT and brand. Okay, so do we have technology which we may use in Villandia? And do we have a brand which we may use in Villandia? Yes, Sayyid Jalal, Aisha. Yes, so just can you write one small paragraph? I believe it's the third paragraph, right? 1, 2, 3, in which we will say that we have significantly invested in our technology, and we can use the technology in Villandia. Also, we have a strong brand which may be used in Villandia. That's it. So 3 paragraphs under feasibility. The first paragraph talks about human resource, followed by financial resource, and then IT and brand. Now we talk about acceptability. So you give a heading. First of all, I need to see 3 paragraphs, okay? The first paragraph, okay, before I move to acceptability, let me quickly go through the questions. Ikra is saying, can we add the point that we have experience in budget hotels, but this is a mid-range hotel, so things might be different? Yes, very good point. As long as you are able to cover this under the allocated time, then go for it. 80 million has been invested. Yes, you can use this point. Sir, can I write that rising gearing ratio may put pressure? No. Please do not give extra information. You are theoretically right, Ubadur Rahman. You are theoretically right, but under exam conditions, I do not expect you to write all these things. Otherwise, you will simply, not be able to complete the paper. Sir, can we calculate gearing ratio, and can we write some things on gearing and financial sources? No. Please, you will miss the deadline or the time management. And for gearing, you need to have financial information. That's not given in this scenario, right? Do you have a balance sheet and a P&L? No. Sir, giving headings of SFA doesn't itself mean that we are mentioning the framework, and in the beginning you told us not to mention the framework. It's fine. I'm not mentioning the framework. I'm just giving some basic headings. Just do that. It's fine. It's not a problem. Sir, pros and cons of professional marks should be in each point of SAF or only some? Good question, Najila. She's asking, sir, pros and cons should be in each point or in some points? It is supposed to be in some points. Okay, it all depends on the information available. It cannot be possible in each and every point. So wherever you see negative points, you just mentioned, so it is it's supposed to be not in all the points, but in some points only. Isn't that part of acceptability? Financials? Yes, acceptability. Ah, the financials of the target company is part of acceptability. Please remember, there are two financial we are talking about. Our own resources will be covered under feasibility, and the financial projections of the target company will be covered under acceptability. Okay, is that clear, Ali? We are a listed company, and so acquisition could be not acceptable by the shareholder because we always use organic growth. Okay, Umesh, that's a good point. We will talk about it. SFA 1A and 2B requirement has external internal points. I Yeah, SFA 1A was internal. I don't know. I didn't get your question. Payback and NPV has been based on estimated costs like training costs, da 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 da, and then drop down. Need to add these points? Aisha, no. Please don't. You don't have to go into a lot of detail. Okay. Otherwise, you will miss the time management thing. Is it possible for you to give us one drafted answer? Yes, I will share the draft answer after the class. I will share it on the WhatsApp group. So if you guys are not present on the WhatsApp group, please message me and I will add you. All right, acceptability. The first thing is we need to talk about shareholders. So are we a private limited company or are we a listed company? Do you remember in somewhere in the introduction it said that we are a listed company? Very good. So since we are a listed company, the shareholders will accept something if it's got a positive NPV. Okay. So let's look at the fact sheet. How's the NPV looking? So the NPV is $10.565 million. And what's the total initial investment? I think it's 90 million. And the NPV is 10.5 million. If I quickly divide this just to see the percentage return, 10.6 divided by 90, that's around, I would say, 11.7% return. I divided net present value by the total cost. Okay, so without complicating the answer, I would just say the proposed acquisition may be acceptable to our shareholders as the projections are showing a positive NPV of $10.565 million, which is 11.7% return. That's it. Okay. I think one of you mentioned earlier that the shareholders may not accept the proposal because we have always grown organically and we don't have experience of acquisition. You are absolutely right. But under exam situation, please do not give lengthy stories. I just need you to give one basic point and move on. Okay. So one of the main key drivers of of shareholders would be whether the deal is positive or not, whether it is increasing shareholders' wealth or not. So if it's got a positive NPV, I think it should be acceptable. That's why I use the word may be acceptable. I'm just being diplomatic. Okay. After that, so this one paragraph is on shareholders. The second paragraph needs to talk about cultural differences. Payback would be 5.23 years. Yes. Can I payback? Payback. Let's mention the payback as well. Also, that's a good one. I like it, Umes. Also, the payback is reasonable at 5.3 years. That's good. This will really impress the examiner. Now, second para will talk about cultural differences. So just look, you just need to write a standard sentence. Just I will just draft it for you. Okay. This is a standard wording which you can use. Since Finlandia is another country, we will need to consider any cultural differences. That's it. And the third paragraph will talk about the financial projections. So give a small heading and let's quickly go through the checklist. You remember the checklist? So the first thing we need to see is whether these projections are based on discounted cash flow. So let me go through the fact sheet. Is this based on discounted cash flow? Yes. So that's fine. Um, no need to mention if it's based on discounted cash flow. Anything else? Review any assumptions for apparent mistakes. So I saw some, in the revenues, I felt that the assumptions doesn't seem right. There may be other aspects as well. If you see the operating costs, they are also following the same thing. The year one and year two of operating costs are same, and then year three, four, five, six are same. So no need to go into more details. Just write one observation. The revenue and operating cost assumptions needs to be validated as they seem constant for years 1 and 2 and then for years 3 to 6. That's it. Okay. What else? So we talked about this one. We talked about this one. Quickly calculate payback and mention in your answer. Did we do that? Yes, we did that, right? And we mentioned somewhere in our draft here. We mentioned that here. Okay, very good. So we've done step number 3. And what's step number 4? Mention in your answer that a sensitivity analysis should be done. Okay, so we'll just draft a standard sentence. However, it is suggested that a sensitivity analysis should also be done so that we can um, review other we can review uh, that's it. So guys, do you see 3 paragraphs under acceptability? The first one was shareholder, second one was cultural, and the third one talked about financial projections. And for financial projections, we followed our checklist, and whatever was missing, we mentioned that. I like the point which Furkan mentioned. He said tax is not incorporated in NPV table. Should we write in this para? Yeah, I think tax can also be a good thing. Also, we can just say also tax implications needs to be covered in the calculations. Thank you, Furkan. I like the point tax. Right. So let me quickly go through the questions. I will talk about the WhatsApp link in the end. Um, yes, I will give a break in a little bit. Initial investment is 90 or 80? It's 90, it's 80 plus 10. Whatever you spend in year 0 is the initial investment. Cultural web, who is this? My God, Altaf. Can we use cultural web? Forget about this cultural web. You are going into a dangerous territory. Just write the standard 2 lines and move on. Inflation not taken into account. No, Junaid, the discount factor includes inflation as well. So do not mention this. For WhatsApp, I will share the group in the end. Please bear with me. Do not ask same question again and again. Can we mention discounted as pro to get professional marks? No. Yeah, you can say that, the cash flow, the projections are based on discounted cash flow. That's fine. Tax, we talked about it. Sir, which amount we will take in payback for initial investment? Year 0. LIBA, or always whatever amount in year 0 is the initial investment. Okay. So the total amount of outflow in year 0 is 90. So you use 90. Bullet points. No, no, no. Can we make bullet points rather than paragraph? No, no, no. Abdul Mannan, the examiner hates bullet point. When we submit a report to the board, they prefer paragraph style, okay, not bullet style. Human capital for feasibility. We talked about human resources. We talked about 3 things under feasibility, under human resources. So I don't know what extra you want to talk about. Aisha, please do not complicate due to increase in equity and debt. Would it be acceptable to show that? My God, you are giving an exam. You will have like 40 minutes to read and draft this answer. You can't actually cover all these points under exam conditions. So please do not go for extra points. You are theoretically right, but not for under exam conditions. For acceptability, should we talk about shareholders or also stakeholders? Please stick to shareholders. Is it enough for 20 marks? Absolutely enough. Can we add headings in report? Headings in report? No. Just give headings like suitability, acceptability, feasibility. Do not give subheadings like human resource or financial resource. Okay. Right. So we did SFA. what I feel, what I feel by looking at the comments is that most of you are used to giving perfect answers. Your points are pretty much valid, but from an exam condition point of view, you should try and just stick with bare minimum basic answers. Otherwise, there is a high risk that your time management will get out of control. If you want to pass SBL, time management is number one critical thing. Okay. So I need you to focus on time management rather than giving a perfect answer. So now here's the case. So on one hand, there is an option that you give a perfect answer, but then you overrun the time. The second possibility is that you don't give a perfect answer, you just give a basic to the point answer, but you are able to complete on time. Which one would you prefer? So for SBL, yes, SBL, the in terms of priority, time management is more important than a perfect answer. I repeat, for SBL, time management is more important than a perfect answer. If your perfect answer can be done within the allocated time, I have no issues. Go for it. But if you are not able to complete the perfect answer within the allocated time, then do not go for perfect answers. Just give one basic logic and move on. Okay, cool. So now here we end our SAF model. Abdullah is asking, what if we answer without SAF? Yes, not a problem. As I mentioned yesterday, you can answer without using a model, but then you have to make sure that you cover all the points and they are presented in a logical flow. Okay, so what SAF does is it kinds of presents the information in a logical flow. Suitability talks about external, feasibility talks about internal, acceptability talks about financials, right? So now, guys, um, what I want to do is uh, we start our today's session, okay, which is day 2, and I want to first talk about the exam techniques, then I will give a break. Okay, in today's thing agenda, I want to talk about exam technique right now, and then I will give a break, and then we will come back and start our practice for today. Is that all right? Okay, so I think exam techniques would take around 10 to 15 minutes. So today's plan is I will talk about exam techniques, and then today's topic are social and environmental factors, pestle, Porter 5 forces, and maybe integrated reporting, but I don't think we will have the time. Okay, so if we are not able to do integrated reporting, I will spill it over to tomorrow. Professional skills, we will talk about evaluation skill and communication skill, press release, all these things. Okay, so today's exam technique is time management. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want your full attention. Time management is the second biggest problem in SBL as per the examiner. The first biggest problem was discussed yesterday. The first biggest problem was that students do not link their answers to the case. Correct? So I taught you the technique yesterday. The second biggest thing is time management. How do we manage our time? Right. So there are two aspects: reading and planning time, and then followed by writing or drafting time. So your paper is 4 hours. So you have to spend 60 minutes on reading, like the first hour on reading, and the remaining 3 hours on writing. Okay, is that clear? So your reading and planning time is 60 minutes. You have to stick with that. Now, by experience, by teaching so many SBL students, I know that most of you might not be able to complete your reading in 60 minutes. Maybe the last attempt question was small question. Most people were able to complete, but by and large, generally, uh, it takes like 70 minutes to complete the reading. Okay. But we have to make sure that we read in 60 minutes and do the planning in all 60 minutes. So how do we save time? The first thing is you have to first read the introduction very carefully, like we did yesterday. You have to digest, you have to visualize. So spend good time on introduction. And then you have to read all the requirements as well. And then you have to make a small list of the requirements. Remember yesterday I showed you that we have to make a small list of requirements on the last page of your answer sheet. All this will take time. Maybe I think 15 to 15 minutes might be taken when you read the introduction carefully, when you read all the requirements, when you make the list. On an average, it might take you 15 minutes. So you are left with 45 minutes to read the 6 exhibits, and that could be pretty challenging. All right. So what do we do? First of all, look at this. Oops, sorry. Normally, out of 6 exhibits, normally 3 exhibits contains information which is to be used in multiple questions. Okay. And remaining 3 exhibits contains information to be used in one particular question, which is a one-to-one exhibits. Okay. Um, those exhibits which contains multiple information, they are time consuming. And those exhibits which are one-to-one, they take less time. Okay. So I want you to focus more on these exhibits. This one. I want you to spend the first read those exhibits which are multi-question exhibits. And once you have read all the multi-question exhibits, which is normally 3, then you come to those exhibits which are one-to-one. So normally these exhibits, what students do, they read in sequence. They read 1 and then they read exhibit 2 and then exhibit 3 and then 4 and 5 and 6. But what I am saying is do not read in sequence. First you read those exhibits which covers multiple questions. And then after that, you read those exhibits which are 1-to-1. And Najia is asking, what is the meaning of 1-to-1? Oh, okay. 1-to-1 exhibit means it's an exhibit which contains information which is supposed to be used in only one particular question. Like we did SFA, you remember this fact sheet? So that fact sheet was a classic example of 1-to-1. That fact sheet was only used in requirement 1B. So it was a 1-to-1 exhibit. Okay. So the important question is, how do we know which exhibits are 1-to-1 and how do we know which exhibits are multiple exhibits? Right, Furkan, this is what you're asking. Exactly. So when we do a lot of questions, you would automatically come to know, but generally these are multiple exhibits. Normally these board minutes, annual reports, websites information, newspaper articles, interview notes, all these generally will contain a variety of information which are expected to be used in multiple questions. Okay. And then anything other than board minutes, other than annual report, other than newspaper articles, are generally supposed to be 1-to-1, like a fact sheet 1-to-1, financial projections 1-to-1. There might be some other specific things 1-to-1. So once we read a lot of exhibits, you would, I hope that after 2 3 4, like by the last day, you would be able to judge which exhibit is multiple and which exhibit is 1-to-1. Sometimes the examiner also mentions the exhibit numbers in the question. Okay, so it will help you identify. Sometimes when you read the exhibit, the first few lines you will read, you will know it's 1-to-1. So there are many ways to find out. Okay, so what I'm saying is, first read those exhibits which are multiple. For the 1-to-1, do not read them during the first 1 hour. You can take a quick look. Nobody is stopping you to take a quick look. So for the 1-to-1 exhibits, you may take a quick look. You may spend 1 minute on it. You just go through the broad headings, the broad high level information, and move on. Spend the first 60 minutes on complicated exhibits. Okay, I repeat, spend the first 60 minutes reading time on complicated exhibits. Do not waste the first 60 minutes on straightforward 1-to-1 exhibit. Okay, so once your 60 minutes are up, what will happen? You may miss reading the 1-to-1 exhibits, correct? Well, you have to anyways read 1-to-1 exhibit when you are about to start drafting your answer. So, so we will read those exhibits when we start drafting the answer, correct? This is very, very important, this thing. What to do if reading time is up? Most likely, if people whose English is weak, whose mother tongue is not English, or if their reading speed is slow, most likely you might overrun the 60 minutes. What do? You just stop reading and immediately proceed to the drafting aspect. Okay, this is very, very important. Do not overrun on your reading time, because if listen to me carefully, because if you overrun your reading time, let's say by 10 minutes, you are actually hijacking 10 minutes from your drafting time. Your drafting time is automatically reduced by 10 minutes even before you have started drafting your answer. It will land you in serious deficit. Okay, the moment 60 minutes are up, no matter how much is left, you just stop reading. Whatever is left, we will read that once we come to the drafting of that particular question. Okay, spend the first 60 minutes on multiple exhibits and skip the one-to-one exhibits, because one-to-one we can always read once we start drafting that particular question. Do you guys understand the technique of the first 60 minutes? I want a yes or a no. Very good. Thank you so much. Now, it is easier said than done, but we have to practice towards it. It might be a little bit difficult in the start, but the more we practice, the more easier it will become, because you have never done these kind of techniques in the past, because you have never seen such a paper in the past. You might struggle a bit, but we will work on it, don't worry. Always 6 exhibits? Yes, always 6 exhibits. Does drafting answer plan for each question in the answer sheet? No. Answer planning, you will spend time, right? So anything which consumes time is disaster. I taught the referencing technique yesterday, so please go through my video, Mega. No, exhibits will always be 6, no 5, no 7, 6 exhibits. Okay. So now once 60 hour minutes are up, our drafting starts. So what are the techniques for drafting? So you've got like sorry, you've got like 3 hours for drafting. Okay, which means 180 minutes. So if you divide 180 minutes by 100 marks, it simply works out to be 1.8 minutes per mark. Okay, per total mark. This is a very important word. 1.8 minutes per total mark. And what do I mean by total mark? I mean technical mark plus professional mark. So if you remember the SFA question we did, it was 16 marks for the report, and then there was 4 marks for evaluation skills, and total marks was 20. Okay, so the 16 marks, this is called technical marks, and 4 marks, this is called professional marks, and total marks is 20. All right, so look at this, 1.8 minutes per total mark. So how much time we have to spend on that question? You look at total marks, multiply it by 1.8 minutes, and I don't know how much that works out. I think 36 minutes. Let me calculate on my calculator. 20 into 1.8 is 36 minutes. Yeah. So now can you, thank you, Chris, thank you, Laiba. Can you recall in retrospect that you guys were giving me so many nice points? We can look at gearing, we can look at impact on this and that. Would you be able to draft your answer in 36 minutes if you really go for additional information in your answers? No way. Even I cannot do it. Okay, right. So the reason why I'm saying total marks is because if you read examiners articles, these guys focus, they suggest spending 2.1 minutes per technical mark. Okay, so I I feel that you for to score professional marks you have to spend some time. For example, if you need to draft a report, so the report format will take 2 minutes. Or if you have to draft a presentation slide or a briefing note, all the formats they take time. So I prefer allocating marks based on total marks and not technical marks. Okay, so our benchmark is 1.8 minutes per total mark. Now, how do we keep track of our time? That's a big thing. So we know we need to spend 36 minutes on the SFA question, but the bigger problem is once we are writing, we are in the flow, we lose track of time. And by the time we realize, it's already 5-7 minutes over. So the important thing is, how do we keep track of the time? Um, I spoke with many students, and a couple of students, what they used to do was they used to write the ending time in front of each question as soon as they receive the question paper. I repeat. So they used to calculate the ending time for each question, and they used to write the ending time on the each question on the question paper as soon as they received the question paper. So for example, um, you calculate the time if your paper starts at 2 p.m. Okay, if your paper starts at 2 p.m., so 2 to 3 p.m. is your reading time. So 3:01, from 3:01 p.m. your drafting will start, and supposing you've got like 36 minutes, the ending time would be 3:36. You write 3:36 p.m. in front of the SFA question. You write the actual time when you have to stop. So they used to calculate the time based on 1.8 minutes and write those ending time in front of each question on the question paper. And so that they don't have to actually, they just can see the ending time and their watch and manage themselves. Do you understand this technique? The game here is you write the ending time for each question before, as soon as you receive the question paper. Now, the next thing is length of your answer. I believe that time management is dependent on length management. Did you get that? Okay, let me repeat. I believe that time management is dependent on length management. The more you write, the more time it will take. So it is my personal view that there's nothing called time management. Actually, if you want to control your time, it has to be length management. So if you know how much to write, most likely you will fit under the time management. But if you don't know how much to write, and if you keep on writing and keep on writing, definitely your time management will get out of control. Okay, so what's the length? 5 lines per total mark, excluding format. Please look at this very, very carefully. The ideal length is 5 marks 5 lines per total marks, excluding format. So what do I mean by excluding format? Like if you are making a report, please do not count the lines relating to, from, subject, date, and introduction. These are part and parcel of the report. So do not count these lines. After that, it has to be 5 lines. So 5 lines excluding format. All right. Secondly, 5 lines can also be 4 lines and may also become 6 lines. A little bit of variation is acceptable depending on the information available and how difficult the requirement is. But 5 lines cannot become 10 lines. Okay. So a little bit of variation is acceptable, but not a lot. Try to stick with 5 lines. And if you write 5 lines, in 5 lines, you will be able to explain one point and you will be able to manage your time. Okay. Let me look at the comments. What is meant by per total mark? It is 1 mark or two? No, okay. By per total mark, I mean technical marks plus professional marks. I mean total marks for the question. Okay, I'm not talking about 1 mark or 2 mark. Total marks for the question, and I just showed you this example. You see this example? So this is total mark. Can you see this? So please avoid asking questions that it kinds of repeats. I have to repeat stuff then. Sir, some teachers say that only read first requirement and then read whole case study. They say that by reading all requirements together, your mind could crash and confuse. Umesh, I disagree. I think you were not there yesterday. I actually taught a technique called how to link with exhibits, and for that we have to read all the requirements. Sayyid Jalal is saying, I think it may not be possible to write 5 lines. Why, Jalal? Why not possible? What do you have in mind? More lines or less lines? For 2 marks, how many lines are required? Muhammad Saifullah, I will kill you. Can anybody tell me for 2 marks how much lines are required? Yeah, 10 lines. Perfect. Okay, Muhammad Saadullah, I was just kidding. Now you understand? Sir, can you guide in terms of sentences as well? I don't know what that means. In previous question, we wrote not more than 3 lines, max 4. Are they enough for total marks? Yes. Abdul Manan, in previous question, um, what's more important is total number of lines. So you don't have to write exactly 5 lines for each paragraph. Okay. In total for now, let's move on, and I will show you in totality what's happening. So the third aspect is number of points. I can see many students who are asking me the number of points. So again, the length depends on the number of points. So in SBL, 1 point, a good, well explained, well linked point carries 2 marks. Okay. 1 point carries 2 marks. That's the general rule of thumb. There are certain exceptions. For example, in certain questions, sometimes you are asked to identify the weakness and then give recommendations. Okay, in certain questions, you are first required to identify weakness and then give recommendation. In these questions, I would go for 3 marks because we are supposed to identify the weakness and then give recommendation. Then 2 marks is less. And then in certain questions, you are expected to identify weakness plus implication plus recommendation. Now the 3 things are required. In those cases, I will go for 4 marks for each point. Okay. But by and large, as a rule of thumb, I would suggest 2 marks for 1 point. So now this is your IQ test. So supposing the question is 10 marks in total. 8 marks technical, 2 marks professional, total marks is 10 marks. How much time for 10 marks? Let me see. Please mention how much time you will spend for 10 marks. How much drafting time? Correct. What should be the length of your answer for 10 marks? How many lines excluding the format? Perfect. 50 lines in total, right? Now, this 50 lines could be 40, 45, or it could be 55 to 60. Okay, but not less than 40 and not less more than 60. Ideally 50 lines plus minus 5 lines here or there doesn't make a difference. So focus on the total number of lines and how many number of points for 10 marks. 5 points. So if you are not able to give 5 points, I'm okay with 4 points. We don't have a choice, right? Okay, but 3 points would be very less. Ideally 5 points plus minus 1. So for 5 points, either you can give 4 points or maximum 6 points, but nothing less than 4 and nothing more than 6. Try to focus on 5 points. This is a very interesting triangle which has been created by me. It's copyright, patented, trademark. Do you like it? Do you understand? So all teachers, they talk about bloody time management, but nobody tells us how to manage the time. The root cause of bad time management is bad length management and bad points management. To focus, if you automatically focus on the length of your answers and the number of points, most likely your time management will improve. Length, 10 marks are technical. Oh my God. Abdullah Umrao, please be attentive. 10 marks are technical or technical plus professional. It is technical plus professional is equal to total. Okay? I hate these kind of questions. Sir, length, explain again, Maz. By length means the number of lines you are supposed to write. Okay, so the length has to be, the rule of thumb is 5 lines per mark. So if the question is 10 marks, how much lines you are supposed to write? 5 multiplied by 10 marks, 50 lines. Is this clear, my dear Maz? All right, Umesh, thank you for that. You're very observant. 100 marks for technical? What's that? iPad 69? I didn't get that question. SBL is 80 marks technical, 20 marks professional, total is 100. Okay, right. Now, this is very important. What to do if the writing time is up? What to do if the writing time is up? So we allocated like 36 minutes for our SFA question, right? So our SFA question was 20 marks. So for that, we had 36 minutes. We had to write how many lines? 5 twos are 10. 100 lines, which effectively means 4 pages, 3 to 4 pages of your answer sheet. And number of points should be 10 to 12 points. Okay. So this was our SFA question which we did. What you will do if your 36 minutes are up? Simply you will stop writing and then you will leave some lines and move to the next question. Do not hijack the time of the next question. I repeat, do not hijack the time relating to the next question. If this question, if your existing question's time is up, you just stop writing, leave half a page, and move to the next question. In the end, in the end, in case you are left with some time, you can always go back and complete. Okay, right. So can I share one real example, and then I will give a break. One of my student, her reading and her drafting speed was very slow. So I was teaching this physical batch. There were like 70 students in that batch. She was one of the students whose writing speed was very slow. And in that particular batch, most students failed because the paper was really, really difficult. And all of them said that they were not able to complete the paper. On an average, they were able to do 80 to 85 marks, which means they missed 15 to 20 marks. Okay. Did you understand the stats? So most of them, they were just able to do 85 marks paper, and they missed 15 to 20 marks because the time ran out. And because they just attempted 80 to 85 marks, they scored 45 marks, and of course they failed, right? But I told them that in my eyes, you guys are pass. If you attempted 80 and you scored 45, that's more than 50%, right? So you passed. But because you did not attempt the 100 marks, you were not able to cross 50 marks. Okay. So in terms of percentage, you pass, but in total, you fail. Did you understand this? Now, this particular girl who was very slow in drafting, she passed. And everybody was surprised because in all the practice and mocks, she was always unable to complete her answer. Um, but in the exam, she passed and everybody else failed. And how did she pass? So I called her on the stage, and I just asked her in front of everybody, please tell us the secret. You were so slow. How the hell you passed? And I was surprised what she said. She said that, sir, I strictly followed my time management. None of my answer was complete. I repeat. She said, none of my answer was complete, but I attempted all the questions. Did you understand that? So she attempted all the questions, but none of her answer was complete. The moment her time was up, she used to jump to the next question. The moment the time for the next question was up, she used to jump to the next question. So she attempted all the questions, and none of the questions was complete. And she passed. She got like 56 marks, and others who did all the questions completely, but they overran, and in the last they missed 20 marks. None of them passed. They ended up with 45. So now choice is yours. This is your decision, whether you want to do proper time management and jump to the next question, or you want to overrun the time and hijack the time for next question. This is food for thought for you guys. And with that, I will take a 10 minutes break, and it's 9:54 in my watch. I will see you at 10:05. All right, see you in a bit. Hi, everybody. I am back. I just want to double check whether you are able to hear me clearly and see the screen. Just type yes. Thank you so much. Perfect, perfect. Right. So we just talked about the time management techniques, and in summary, we have to spend the first 1 hour in reading. We will first focus on reading those exhibits which are multiple requirement exhibits, and then we will read those exhibits which are one to one. We will stop reading as soon as 60 minutes are up, so that in case our reading is not complete, then what we will miss are one to one exhibits. It's not a big deal. On the writing side, we have exactly 3 hours. We will spend 1.8 minutes per mark. Um, and as soon as the allocated time is up, we will stop writing, leave some space, and move to the next question. In terms of length of your answer, the ideal rule of thumb is 5 lines per mark, plus minus a little bit. And in terms of number of points, 1 point generally carries 2 marks. Okay, so with that, let's quickly hit today's topic. And I would like to speed up a bit. Social and environmental footprint, pestle, portafy forces, and integrated reporting we will be doing tomorrow. Social footprints. So all organizations, they have they exist for shareholders, they exist for profitability. However, the economic activities have two implications. An organizations have social impacts, and the organization also has environmental impacts. So social footprint means the organization's social impact. Whenever we talk about social footprints, there are three things you need to talk about. Social footprint includes employees, our customers and suppliers, society, and community. Remember, whenever you get a question on social footprint, you need to touch upon employees, customers, suppliers, society. When we talk about employees, what do we mean? All these aspects: staff turnover, staff training, working conditions, reasonable pay scales, gender equality, no discrimination, health and safety, diversity. All these fancy words pertains to employees and staffing. When we talk about customers or suppliers, what kind of things we look at? Quality of the product safety, personal data and privacy, fair business practices, fair play with suppliers. All these are covered under customers and suppliers. And when we talk about society and community, it talks about job opportunities and CSR. Okay. Similarly, when we talk about environmental footprint, it simply means the effect the organization has on the earth, the ecological environment. So these are some keywords which are part of environmental footprint: carbon footprint, CO2 emissions, recycling, pollution, spillage, use of scarce resources like oil and trees, green, environmentally friendly products or environmentally friendly production processes or machineries. All these are the buzzwords we have to talk under environmental footprint. Okay, so let's do a quick question on social and environmental footprint. This is Highlight Hotels question number 2A. Highlight Hotels question number 2A. So Highlight Hotels, we have already read the introduction. Let's look at 2A. Following a subsequent decision by the Highlight Board, the proposed acquisition of the Comfy Hotel has recently been announced to the D-Land stock market, and generally the market has reacted positively to the announcement. However, there have been some negative press reports in D-Land Daily News about the proposed acquisition, criticizing Highlight. The chief executive of Highlight is very concerned about these reports and has asked the business analyst team to consider Highlight's response. I don't know what is the negative report. What is the criticism? I don't know. Required. Prepare a draft press release. Ooh. Responding to the criticisms. Responding to the criticism. Assessing the social and environmental effects, or sorry, impact of Highlight's proposed investment in Villandia, with a view to reassuring its stakeholders of Highlight's intention to maintain its high principles and standards in acquiring Comfy Stay Hotel. 10 marks. Professional skills marks are available for demonstrating communication skills in clarifying and conveying relevant information to Highlight stakeholders. Now, how do we score communication skills? There are two ways to score good marks on communication skill. Number one is the format. So whatever format is required, we give that format very nicely. For example, if a report is required, we give a proper report. If a presentation is required, we make a proper slide. In this case, a press release is required, so we draft a proper press release format. And the second thing important is the language or the tone of your answer, because you have to keep the reader in mind. A press release will be released in the press. This means it will be released in the newspaper, and general public, they read newspaper. So our language, our tone should be according to the way we are communicating to general public. So again, communication skills is not difficult. As long as you give the nice format and your language is appropriate to the reader, you will be able to gain communication skills. So the main thing is, I would like to know what are those criticisms. So you see the requirement, respond to the criticisms. So what are the criticisms? If someone can tell me the criticism, I will respond. Okay. For example, let me criticize you. Let me criticize Christopher. Hey, Chris, are you there? Chris, I don't like your shirt. I'm criticizing you. I don't like your shirt. Now, can anybody help? Can Chris respond to me? Ah, okay. He's saying, oh, you can say, okay. Um, you can't say why. I mean, you can say, if the criticism is, I don't like your shirt, you can say, okay, if you don't like, I can change it. Or, okay, it's our choices differ. What I'm wearing, I'm liking. Okay, so responding is very simple. If I know the criticism, I would be able to respond. So what is the criticism which has been made in the press? So, exhibit 4. Exhibit 4 is the newspaper article following the recent announcement of Highlight to acquire the Comfy Stay hotel chain in Villandia. Yes, Aisha, you are right. So this is a one-to-one exhibit. It just talks about the criticisms. If you read the name of the exhibit, newspaper article following the recent announcement, has Highlight hit a low. So I'm trying to while I will read, I will try and identify the negative points, the criticism which the media has done, so that I can draft my responses. Highlight Hotels recently announced it was making an approach to buy the struggling Comfy Stay Hotel in Villandia. Right? Comfy Stay's owners, the DeWalt family, announced their intention to sell the business 3 months ago, having seen revenues decline steadily in the last 3 years. Okay. Its chief executive and founder, Anders DeWalt, admitted in an interview last month that the family has failed to recognize and keep up with the investment demands of a modern hotel, but was confident that a new owner could revitalize the business. But is its potential acquisition by Highlight a positive move for the D-Land based budget hotel business? So I don't see any negative points so far. He's just asking a question. Reading its recently published chief executive statement, Highlight is a business which clearly prides itself on the value it places on its staff and maintaining strong employment rights. That's correct. However, staff in Comfy Stay hotels are currently paid well below the rate of pay earned by their equivalent staff in D-Land. Hmm. So that's his problem. What else? They also work longer hours per week with few employment rights. Most of Comfy Stay staff are women who are offered few opportunities for training or staff development. In addition, Comfy Stay's policy for of only employing men as hotel managers and senior staff in its hotels would seem to be in stark contrast to the strong focus on equality within Highlight's employment practice. I see. So, so these are some negative points which this stupid guy is raising. Okay. Just a minute, guys. I think the screen is hanging. Some of the students are. No, I think it's working. It's a bit lagging. It's a bit slow. Okay. These guys are fixing it. So, what are the key points? Low referencing low pay, high number of hours, less training. What else? Gender, males, gender biasness, males only. Staff pay and conditions may not be the only concern for Highlight. Comfy Stay was fined by the government of Finlandia less than 2 years ago for polluting the local waterway in its main coastal tourist town with an outflow of untreated effluent. Okay. The cause was outdated waste and toilet facilities, which it said would be addressed but limited. Recent investment in Comfy Stay hotel chains suggests otherwise. Highlight will have to invest significant sums of money to make the hotel chain viable and sustainable part of its business if it wishes to adhere to high expectations. So, what's the main point here? Uh, Pollution, environmental aspect. Although Villandia has a thriving tourist economy, which has in fact grown since the global economic recession, it is a country of limited environmental awareness. National recycling levels are 50% less than other countries in the region, and its reported CO2 emissions are the worst in the region. Okay, I'm just highlighting it. Again, I would just write uh, in environmental, it's an environmental information. Okay. So why is comfy stay hotel chain of interest to highlight? Seemingly, foreign companies like Highlight wish to exploit this low wage economy where a poorly educated population is happy to be in employment at whatever rate of pay and where profits can be maximized by exploiting locals and tourists alike. Okay. For an organization like Highlight, this must be a questionable and some may suggest an unethical direction of development. Oh my God. So this stupid senior business reporter AJ telling, I hate him. We have good intentions, and now this guy is just turning it around, and he's just bringing up all the negative things. Abdullah is saying someone has paid the journalist to write such article. Yes, maybe. So now the thing is, now this article has been published in the newspaper, and it is a reputational issue for us out of nowhere. And as the CEO, it is his job to respond to the public, to make sure that people knows what are the facts and our reputation is not at stake. Correct? So exactly that is the requirement of the question. If you read the question, prepare a draft press release responding to the criticisms, assessing the social and environmental impact of da 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 da. So, on a high level, I need to draft a press release, and it should contain two portions. The first portion will talk about social impact, and the second portion will talk about environmental impact. Okay, you remember the topic social impact. It includes employees, customers, suppliers, and society. And environmental, it includes recycling, CO2, pollution, all those stuff. Okay, so the first thing, the format, the format of a press release. Okay, so as usual, we will say give us big heading in center called. Okay, this is the format of a press release, and we need to give a heading what this press release is all about. So think of a heading. I can read the requirements. Prepare a draft press release responding to the criticisms, assessing the social and environmental impact of highlights proposed investment in Villandia. Okay. How about social and environmental impact of highlight in Villandia? That's kind of the heading of our article. And then we have to write from whom. Who from the company is issuing the press release. So, although I know that we have been asked to draft, but we cannot write from senior business analyst. No, we cannot write this. Although I know our role is senior business analyst, but this is a press release, and a press release is normally issued by the chief executive. He is only authorized to issue a press release, or by the chairman of the board. Okay, so um, I would rub this one, and it should be from the chief executive. Okay, so can somebody tell me the name of the chief executive? Right, don't worry. It was mentioned in let me change my pen, please. It was mentioned in first exhibit. Bernie Vokes. You remember his picture? The smart salt and pepper guy. Bernie Vokes, CEO, highlight. Okay, that's the professional way of drafting a press release. You first give a small heading. Nayab, iPad, Abdullah Umro. Very good. I'm impressed. And you write the name. Just don't write CEO. You will lose professional skills mark. When you know the name of the CEO and this is a press release, the name of the CEO has to go. Okay. And then there will be an opening sentence which has to be nicely drafted. And then we will talk about social considerations and environmental considerations. Okay. So first of all, we will say, if you recall, um, you know, I recall. Let me. I read all these nice things that it is. We focus a lot on staffing and focus on environment. I read somewhere. Fun brand. Compare staff. This one. Highlight values is staff highly and is strongly committed to staff development and retention. Highlight pays above D line. Okay, okay, okay. We can use this information. And there was something about Envir brand staff here as well. Digital. You see this table? Do you see this? Do you see this? Some KPIs. I would like to use it. And then there's this staffing para. We are committed to create a great place to work. Da 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 da. It talks about equality, diversity. We spend so much money on staff development and annual skills, and we implemented the new law 6 months in advance. Wow. All these points we have to tell to the press that this guy is bullshitting. We are not like that. We are an ethical employer, and we will give all these facts and figures to the press. Also, an environmental thing, we will continue to build our reputation, environment management systems. So that should be our opening sentence, that highlight really, have always adopted and maintained high principles and standards with regards to social and environmental activities. And then, you give this opening, 2 3 lines, and then you give the heading, social impact. And then you need to write 2 or 3 small paragraphs talking about what we have done. Okay, all the good points we have done. And where can you find all the good points? I just showed you. We can pick up good points from here. Exhibit 1, that we highlight is committed to creating a great workplace, a strong commitment to equality and diversity. We have invested around 10 million annually in skills development programs and all these things, right? And do we have the financial projections of the fact sheet? Remember, I saw something on the fact sheet. You see this? So even in our projections at Comfy Hotel, we have included training cost as one of the expense. And how much are we spending? 3 million. plus 6 plus 3, 9, 10.5 million in total. So I would like to mention that in the press that for Comfy Hotel, we have we are planning to spend $10.5 million under training, staff training and development over next 6 years. Okay. Similarly, for environmental thing, where can we find environmental information? Again, we go back to the CEO's statement. My referencing is helping me, you see, and we will pick up sentences from here that we focus, we will continue to focus our focus and reputation for operating a sustainable and environmentally friendly business. We are committed to develop and invest in sustainability and environmental management systems to reduce our levels of wastages. Ah, oh my God. We should also try and give these statistics. We will say our staff retention uh, is 52% and we are spending 6.2 training days. We are also committed to environment, and try to use these statistics as well. And this is how you will draft your answer. So the main thing which I did, why I selected this question was, number one, I wanted to show you the format of press release. Okay, so it will have a heading, it will have a press release, and then it will have a heading, it will have a from, a opening paragraph, and then you will come to the answers. Okay. Second thing is I wanted to discuss social and environmental aspects, how we pick from the case. Just pick up the relevant information. If you have done your referencing correctly, this one, if you've done your referencing correctly, you will be able to know where to look for the information, and try to use statistics as much as possible, the KPIs, the budgets, the amounts which we have used in the fact sheet. I can see the environmental investment as well, 1 2 3 4 $6 million. Okay, do you understand? um Let me go through the comments. Video is slow, video is getting stuck. I think it's working fine now. Yeah, I can see that. So all we have to do is pick up negative points against us and try presenting them positively. And these positive points are all over the question. Muniba, absolutely right. The question says respond to the criticism. I don't want to repeat the criticism in my press release. I will just try and pick up all the positive points and throw it on his face. Is it safe to quote budgeted figures in the press release? Good question. Interesting. From an exam point of view, yes, I don't care. I just want to give some numbers, okay? We also have to include environmental investment in our fact sheet. If you can, it would be nice. Sir, these statistics are from D-Land. We have to answer on criticism made on Comfy and Villandia. Correct. Saad, we have not yet acquired Comfy, right? All the bad things were not done by us. It was done by the existing owners. Okay. I am yet to buy that company. So all this has been done in Villandia and by the previous owners. What I'm trying to prove here, and this reporter is trying to show that it is us who is responsible for these. So what I'm just trying to do is explain my principles and what I have done in D-Land. This shows my intent. Okay, and I would say that we will continue with our values and principles once we acquire Comfy Hotel, something on those lines. Okay, sir, is that they tell about Comfy problems? Yeah. Now we tell about our current company good points. Yes. That's all we can do, right? We can just talk about us and what we have done so far. Sir, you only talk related to staff and employees for social footprints. What about customers and suppliers and society? Yes, Amisha, but in the exhibit, in the article, there was no mention of customers and suppliers and society. So for 10 marks, I'm not going to expand my answer unnecessarily. And we have to relate our good points with the bad facts. No, no, no. We don't have the time and the marks to relate our good points with the bad facts. In fact, I don't want to, in a press release, if I'm the CEO, I would not repeat the bad things against me, right? Why should I? You understand? So because it's low marks, it's like 10 marks technical. Let me see how much marks. How much marks was there? 10 plus 3, 13 marks, right? So it's not that. So 6 marks for social, 7 marks for social, 6 marks for environmental. So I will not explain that. Customer satisfaction? No, Yasin. Why? Why do you need to include customer satisfaction when there is nothing mentioned in the article? You have to stick with the exhibits. The requirement is to respond to the criticism. There was no single word about customers, so stay away from giving ideal answers, please. All right, cool. So I hope you understood the press release and how we pick up answers from the exhibits and how we pick up statistics. Now let's move on. I'm just trying to see. Okay, this is practice question 1. Where is the thing? This one. So we are done with social footprint, environmental footprint. Now pestle. Okay. Very easy topic, pestle. The first thing is this pestle is used to analyze the country environment, or it is also called the macro environment. It is a model used for external environment, and it focuses on country or macro level environment. In political, what are the keywords? Now you should remember the keywords. How do you highlight political points? Political means the government factors. Okay. So words like government, government policies, government subsidies, government approvals and licenses, taxes, political stability, all these are words relating to political. How do you identify economy? You will see the word economy in the question. Economic growth, economic recession, economic downturn, these are the most common words. Grants, yeah, good points. Grants are government grants is also a good word. Social, you will see words like prosperous developed nation, standard of living, educated population, unemployment. These are all social. Technological, you need to look for words like plant and machinery, skilled workers, yeah, or skilled laborers, IT or technology, internet, online, roads, infrastructure. These are all words which fits under technology. Ecological, the same thing we studied before: CO2, carbon footprint, recycling, pollution, standard words. And for legal, you will see the words like laws and regulations and legislations and patents and trademarks and copyrights, all this. So if you remember these keywords, you will be easily able to identify pestle points while reading the case. The second important thing for pestle is you have to comment whether these factors are favorable or unfavorable. You see, this is very, very important. So for example, when you talk about political, this one, you need to conclude whether political environment is favorable or not. And then when you talk about economy, you will need to conclude whether the economy is favorable or not, and so forth. Very, very important. If you don't mention favorable, unfavorable, you will not be able to score marks. um, ICRA is saying inflation, interest taxes, interest rates are economy. Yes, correct. Overlapping points. Another important concept about pastel is that their one point may fit into a couple of headings. For example, government recently introduced a new tax law. I repeat, government recently introduced a new tax law. Where can it go? It can go under P because the government is trying to implement more regulations to, streamline the economy. And it can go under legal as well because it's a new thing. So in pastel, it is perfectly fine if you repeat one point under more than one headings, provided that your drafting, your perspective is a little bit different. Okay. So this what I call these is overlapping points. So if this point can go under, P, or it can go under legal. Okay. Any questions on pastel? Okay. Porter 5 forces. Now, Porter 5 forces is another model which is used to analyze industry environment. So, pastel was for country, and Porter 5 is used for industry environment. It is also called industry is also called micro environment. Okay. So, Porter 5 has got five forces: bargaining power of customer, bargaining power supplier, threat of new entrants, threat of competition, threat of substitute. So how do you identify bargaining power of customers? What are the words you should look for? Wherever you see the word customers or consumers, just highlight it. That definitely will become part of bargaining power of customer. Okay. And then under Porter 5 forces, you have to mention high or low. In pastel, you have to mention favorable, unfavorable, but in Porter 5 forces, you mention, high. Is it the bargaining power of customer is high or low? Very, very important. If you don't mention high or low, you will not get any marks. So how do you decide whether the bargaining power of customer is high or low? These are certain factors. Okay. Oops, sorry. These are certain factors which will help you decide whether the bargaining customer's power is high or low. Number one is the size of the customer. If your customer is large global company, then customer power will be high. Number two, do you have any uniqueness in your product? Any brand, any uniqueness? If no, then customer's power will be high. Is the customer willing to pay premium? If no, then customer power is high. If yes, then customer power is low. Do you understand? Do you understand bargaining power customer, how to decide whether high or low? Excellent. Bargaining power of supplier. Now this supplier basically means a supplier of our raw materials. Okay, when we talk about customers, we talk about finished goods, the things we sell to the finished goods which we sell to customers. And when we talk about suppliers, we talk about our purchases of raw materials. How do you identify? You look for words like suppliers, you look for words like vendors or manufacturers. Whenever you see these words in the case study, it means you need to highlight them, and it will be covered under power of supplier. How to decide whether supplier power is high or low? Again, the same points. The size of the supplier. Is there any switching cost? Switching cost means whether we are able to switch supplier easily or not, whether there is any penalty or not. If we are able to, if we are not able to switch suppliers easily, that means supplier power is high and our power is low. Are we willing to pay any premium? Okay. Threat of new entrants. So we have to look for barriers to entry. Now this concept is very important. We look for um, barriers to entry. If the barrier is high, threat of new entrant will be low. They work in opposite direction. If the barrier to entries is high, then the threat of new entrant is low. But if the barrier to entry is low, then threat will be high. Okay, so we look for barriers to entry, and then we do what are the examples of barriers to entry? Words like patents, government approvals, government licenses. All these are classic examples of barriers to entry. So in case if we have taken some patents, that means there is a strong barrier to entry, which in turn means that the threat of new entrant is low. Okay. Yes, Aisha, I agree with that. Very, very important this sentence. Um, right? Threat of competition, we have to mention what are the words for competition. Competition, rivalry, market share is a very examiner's favorite word. Number of competitors. If our market share is very low, if there are many number of competitors, that means the threat of competition is high. Yes, Anthony, I agree with that. Threat of substitute. Again, what are the key words? Alternates or alternatives. This is the word which examiner always uses. Okay. So are we done with Pastel and Porter 5 forces? Now there's something called strategic position analysis. Couple of times the examiner has asked, analyze the strategic position of ABC company. So whenever you see this kind of a question, analyze the strategic position, then you have to cover external factors as well as internal factors. And under external factors, you have to cover country environment using Pastel, and then you have to cover Porter industry environment using Porter 5 forces. And then under internal factors, do you remember these four items? The standard list: human resource, financial resource, IT, and brand. So whenever you receive a question which says analyze the strategic position of ABC company, keep this in mind. You need to uh, analyze macro environment using Pastel, and then you need to analyze micro environment using Porter 5 forces, and then you need to analyze internal factors, in which we will talk about the standard four things. All right, any question on strategic position? Right. So let's try and do a question on Pastel. And I don't think we will have time to do Porter 5 forces. I I would suggest that we do Pastel now, and you guys try and do Porter 5 forces this question on your own at your home as homework, and then um, you we will discuss this if required. Okay. So now our exam question practice number 3. Topic is Pestle, SBL, March, June 2019. Smartwear clothing question number 1. Let me exam practice number 3. Okay, that's the paper. Company's name is Smartwear, so no more highlight company. So there's a background and then the exhibits and then the question. Okay, so let's read. Smartwear is a long established clothing retailer in Noria, a highly developed northern European country, which is currently in the middle of deep economic crisis. Whoa, too much information. Okay. And the country is also experiencing political uncertainty. Whoa. Because of its coalition government, who many influential commentators believe will not last for its full term of office. These two factors have contributed to a record high levels of unemployment, low business confidence, and a steady decline in the standard of living of the general population. The company also operates in two other countries on the European continent, Southland and Centrum. Whoa. So let's do my referencing. Developed country. Okay. Economy is down. Political uncertainty. High unemployment. And what else is the key message? Decline standard of living. That's it. So these are the informations which I picked up from this paragraph. Move on. Right now, I don't need know the requirements as usual. Introduction, I just tend to identify anything which I feel is important. Smartware has enjoyed long-term business success, mainly due to the fact that it has carefully positioned itself towards the lower end of clothing retail sector. Okay. It sources its products directly from suppliers in low-cost economies, and it has been able to target a mass market with consistently low prices. This has meant that during the recent economic downturn in Noria, it has been able to profit from the growing number of price-sensitive customers who have switched from more high-end of the clothing retail market to budget retailers like Smartwear, who are the market leader in this high-volume market. Whoa. So what are the key messages coming from this? Carefully position pricing. Again, we are going for a low pricing model. Low pricing and low cost countries. We are purchasing from low cost countries and market leader. What else? Smartware's long-term strategy has always been based on low cost. Very good. Low price business model, low cost, low price business model, which is described through its mission statement and strategic goals. However, following a prolonged period of expansion and growth, including successfully penetrating several other European markets, the company is for the first time experiencing a marked downturn in both its operational and financial performance. Oh my God. First time. Why? I don't know. This appears to be in part due to economic pressure, okay, and the growing intensity of competition in all of its markets, both at home. So, what's the key messages from this one? Low price model and marked downturn in both operational and financial performance. Financial is down, economic pressure and high competition. Okay. At a recent board meeting to discuss the latest set of disappointing financial results, it was proposed that an external consultant be appointed to investigate the deteriorating performance of smartware and propose the best way forward to the company. You are the external consultant engaged by smartware, and you have gathered the following information. Exhibit 1 is a briefing notes prepared by the business development department for the consultant. Exhibit 2 is a transcript of a recent smartware board meeting. I think this may be a multiple exhibit. An article from Noria Herald dated 21st. I don't know whether this is single, one-to-one or multiple. Comparative macroeconomic data for Noria, Southland and Centrium. I think it may be one-to-one. Executive summary of smartware internal audit report on supply chain management. This sounds like one-to-one. Customer database management systems financial investment appraisal. This sounds like one-to-one. So I think this one is one-to-one. I'm not sure. I'm just guessing. One-to-one. Um, Rest I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Required. It is apparent that the downturn in smartware's performance. Just hang on, guys. Okay, sorry. It is apparent that the downturn in smartware's performance can be in part attributed to external factors beyond the company's direct control. Okay. A recent national newspaper article further confirms that the economic situation in Noria has made trading conditions tough for the business. Very good. Therefore, a good understanding of those external environmental factors negatively affecting the smartware business model is essential so that actions can be taken to remedy the current situation and improve the future prospects for the company and its investors. Okay. The board of smartware wants to fully understand how the general environment is impacting on the company, as this will directly influence its ability to enable the business to succeed and prosper. The board has asked you to brief the board on this issue for the next board meeting. Required. Prepare a briefing paper to be presented at the next board meeting, which analyzes the environment in which smartware operates and consider how this might impact its business model, mission, and strategic goals. 10 marks. B. Assess the major risks, which we have not done this topic so far, and professional skills are available for evaluation skills by assessing the identified risks at smartware. So this professional marks directly pertains to part B because it says assessing the identified risks, and The risk was here. So there is no professional marks for part A. Okay, so we just need to focus on these 10 marks, technical marks. So analyze the environment in which smartware operates and consider how this might impact the business model. 10 marks. So whenever we are asked to analyze the environment, there are two types of environments, which macro environment and micro environment. Okay, macro environment means the country environment, and micro environment means industry environment. For macro we use pestle, and for micro we use Porter 5 forces. Remember? Now we need to decide here, are we supposed to apply both pestle as well as Porter 5 forces? Considering the marks, I have my doubts, because if I apply pestle as well as Porter 5 forces, it will become a lengthy answer, and 10 marks means not a lot. So, and secondly, considering the information available, okay, um, most of the information pertains to country, or the, you can say, the macro environment. And lastly, this word, the general environment. The word general environment means macro or country. Okay, remember this. See how cunning the examiner is. He has not mentioned this in the requirement. He has mentioned the word general environment in the question, not under the requirements. Okay, so many students, what they did, the mistake they did was, they, some of them, they applied pestle as well as Porter 5 forces, and they struggled because there was limited information on Porter 5, and because of all these things they overrun the time. And this is question number 1A, so they overrun the time on the first questions. Okay, many students, they applied Porter Diamond as well, which is also acceptable. Porter Diamond is also a model which helps us analyze the external environment. So those of you who think of Porter Diamond are also correct. However, personally, I feel that I agree with the way Laiba is thinking. Hang on, there is some problem. Hello. Hi guys, can you hear me now? If yes, can you, if you can hear me, type yes, please. Ah, perfect, perfect. All right. Right. So we need to apply pastel. Okay. Now, what's the format here? Briefing paper. Now, do you know the format? We will say, uh, hang on. Now I expect you to know the format. We will give the heading. Is it briefing notes or briefing paper? It's briefing paper. So let's stick to the wording the examiner has used. So the to, from, Oh, the briefing paper, we don't write to. What do we write? Do you remember what do we write? For attention of. From subject, date. Okay. So for attention of, this is to be addressed to the board of directors, right? What's our role? We are external consultants, remember? Subject. Look at the requirement. I will just pick up the subject. Analyze the environment in which smartware operates and consider and and date. You will put the date of the exam. You will draw a line, close it out. Now I need a small opening sentence, but without the heading of introduction. This briefing paper does what? I will just pick up from the requirements. Analyzes the environment in which smartware operates and consider how this might impact its business model, strategic mission, and strategic goals. Can you draft that? I don't want to waste my time in drafting now since that you are familiar with the format. This briefing paper analyzes the environment in which da 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 da. You just draft from the requirement. Now, where can I find information? We need to talk about pestle, like political, economic, social, technological, eco, and legal. So, how many marks is this? 10 marks. For 10 marks, how much points? Okay, 5 points. I'm happy with 4, I'm happy with 6, but let's try to stick with 5 if we are able to find 5 points. Otherwise, 4 points are okay, also done. But I think oh, there's an exhibit 1 which we never read. And then there's an exhibit 3. Oh, let's quickly go through exhibit 1. Uh, maybe just let me quickly go through the achieve the mission governance arrangement. So the exhibit 1 is the briefing notes prepared by business development department for the consultant. It talks about our mission statement, it talks about governance arrangements, and then business development. So no listed in the Nokia Stock Exchange 5 years ago. Okay. I don't think. What about Exhibit 3? An article from the Noria Herald. More doom and gloom. Okay, this looks more relevant. Having already suffered for more than 3 years of economic misery, oh, there is still no end in sight for the poor people of Noria. A recent report issued by the Finance Ministry has forecasted negative economic growth, which in reality means further decline for Noria during the whole of this year and possibly beyond. Oh my God. So future is also negative growth. Price inflation has been running at nearly 7% over a year, which is high. But with a stagnant economy, the central bank will be reluctant to raise interest rates. So, with more than 8% of the adult population currently unemployed, whoa, and an austerity program imposed by the government because of reduced taxation revenue, the prospect in Noria still looks pretty bad. Oh my God. Let's make the referencing. Economy down, we know that. Negative economic growth and inflation high, um, unemployment high, and government austerity program. The big question must be, are there any signs of economic recovery? Which a reporter from the Noria asked the finance minister at a press briefing yesterday. To which his reply was, so, if we are able to successfully survive 2019 period without any more important business going into liquidation or further heavy job losses, then it seems that an economic recovery may start as early as possible. That is our expectation, but we have to wait and see. So these are the information we have collected. So for pastel, the heading would be political environment. Okay. What do you find points about government? For government, let me, did we see mark anything about government? We talked about developing country, economy, political uncertainty here. Oh, I saw something like political uncertainty. This one. The country is experiencing the political uncertainty because of its coalition government, which believe will not last for its full term. We got political. Okay, what else? Unemployment, standard of living, da 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 da. And then I remember something about government austerity measures. This one. So this all looks like the political factors are favorable or unfavorable. It's unfavorable, right? And if the political environment is unfavorable, what impact does it have on our mission, business model, or our performance? We will not be able to take long term decisions. We will not be able to do long term investments if we are uncertain about government continuity and government policies. Okay, very good. Economy, the next thing is economy. It's more than 3 years of economic misery. Economic recovery may start, but we have to wait and watch. This is as per the finance minister. Also, there was points here on economy. This one, sorry, I didn't mark this. Economy. Lots of points on economy. I think also in the introduction, in this one, it's currently in the middle of deep economic crisis. So again, economy is unfavorable, and because of that, what impact does it have? It will have adverse impact on our financial performance, on our revenues, costs, and profitability, right? Social, it talks about unemployment, standard of living. There was some statistics about unemployment, 8%, I think. You just pick all those and put it under social. Technology, I was not able to find, but Ubaidur Rahman is saying that in the exhibit last para, exhibit 1 last para, there was something about technology. Yeah, I think I saw somewhere. Um, uh, yeah, there is some availability of technology, e-retailers. Hmm. So technology is favorable because there's a e-commerce opportunity, there are e-retailers, so technology is favorable. Good point. Ecological, I didn't see anything about ecological. Maybe because they are not manufacturing themselves, they are having stuff manufactured from low cost countries, so ecological aspects may not be directly important for them. And lastly, legal. Again, not a lot of information on legal. So for 10 marks, I think we did a lot. We talked about political. We talked about economy in detail, referencing with exhibits. We talked about social aspects. There was something about inflation as well, right? So we just compile all these points. So if you guys do your referencing, like all this referencing, these all these, hang on. So these are the referencing. This technique will really make your life easy. This is what I'm trying to prove again and again. Okay, right? So uh, here we need to now end because I am mindful that there's an overrun on the timing. We started 10 minutes late, so I'm trying to cover up. So I hope that today you are able to learn PESTEL, social environmental footprint, press release, and more importantly, you learn time management techniques. Okay, so uh, just to show, just people who are asking my WhatsApp number. Let me. Okay, here's my WhatsApp number. Okay, just WhatsApp to me and I will send the link. Let me go to the questions. We just have to mention favorable and unfavorable and their impacts. We don't have to write the points in our words related to subheadings. Amisha, no. For 10 marks, just pick up the factor, comment favorable, unfavorable, and one line impact. You need to decide what you have to write based on the number of marks, Amisha. So if you write more than that, you will overrun the time. What's the main difference between briefing paper and briefing notes? No difference. It's exactly the same, just the name is different. So we just use the word used by the examiner. Sir, please, when will yesterday's recording? Yesterday's recording is already available on Vimeo. If you are on my WhatsApp group, I have just shared it yesterday. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will end the session now. I hope it was helpful to you. Tomorrow we will do something important. You have to do Porter 5 forces on your own. Try to attempt the question. And tomorrow we will start with integrated reporting. And tomorrow, from exam techniques point of view, I will tell you the list of important models and how to present your answer, how to draft your answer, some do's and don'ts. Okay, so I will see you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m. Pakistan time. Have a good night and see you tomorrow.